Hey guys, welcome back to the Monday Scramble. This week's episode it's me, like normal, Kyle like normal, but we've also got newish TGP member Kenny. Say hello, Kenny.
Hello there, guys. Nice to be here on Monday Scramble. It's first time doing this, so it's good to be here.
This might be the worst episode we ever do. On God.
I think every episode we do is the worst we ever do. I think the worse the episode is, the better.
You got to have a little bit of faith in yourself, guys. Come on, you got this.
Exactly, Kyle. Have faith.
Kenny is our hype man.
Yeah, Kenny is our hype man here. I'm loving this.
So, Kenny, this is the start of a new thing we're going to do with some of the boys. You're the test subject. We're going to ask you a couple questions.
Yeah.
Answer them however you want. None of it serious. If you need some support, some emotional support during the questions, Corey's here just to hold your hand.
No worries.
I'll help out if you need any help with some questions.
That's all right, mate. Don't worry.
So, are you ready for some questions?
Shoot away.
So, question number 1. What's your favourite starter?
My favourite starter.
Yep.
So, help me out with that. The starter, define it.
Corey?
It's up to interpretation. It's however you want to view it.
Whatever you think of when you think of starter, just go for it. What's your favourite?
My favourites. Oh, as in food, right? Okay. I don't know. I usually skip the starter and go straight to main course. So.
Respectable man.
That is respectable.
Just give us any.
There's no need to put little spangly things of blooming a dot of mash and a dot of this and tiny little hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that. No, that does not interest me. Get me straight to the spag bol or the lasagna or the steak or something that's a main course that I can eat with an actual knife and fork that's not just one mouthful and then you're done.
I respect it.
I respect it as well. Can you give us something to grasp onto in case we need this data later?
Leave this data for later, like it. So, I'd probably refer back to when I've been out before. Probably some tandoori chicken skewers. Still some protein in there, but you're not got it's not just one mouthful and it's gone. You've got a few things there that you can chew on, and it's got a bit of, not a little bit of spice, but a little bit of sort of something with it rather than just being too bland.
A cultured man.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
I never thought Kenny was about to come here and absolutely exude culture.
He has lectured us about starters.
Yeah. That was just an intro question. The next question is, how did you get into wrestling?
Well, funnily enough, it was sort of a mix of a couple of things. Like fellow member of ours, Callum. I'm good friends with him, and he was all about the wrestling. So was Hayden, who's our friend as well. And oddly enough, I think when I was younger, my first sort of the wrestling that I watched was because I didn't have access to things like Sky or anything like that. I literally just had mainstream Freeview TV. So I think it was on Challenge when TNA was put on Challenge a while back. And TNA started it, and then I started getting into the other promotions. So I started watching WWE, things like YouTube and things like that. It's just grown and grown and grown. So that's one of my reasons why. Obviously, in last week's Monday Scramble, Jeff Hardy was one of my favourites because I started watching TNA on Challenge, and my favourite wrestler on those episodes was Jeff Hardy, so that's where that's come from. And so that's how I first got into watching wrestling, being all about wrestling and things like that.
Yeah, you might be the only person in TGP to go, I started watching wrestling because of TNA.
Yeah, it makes so much sense as well with the answer that you gave last week.
Yeah, does it make sense now? Because
Yeah, it makes so much more sense now why you gave those answers.
obviously, watching TNA on Challenge, and then I'd head to YouTube to watch older TNA. So then I'd find things like Sting when he had his Joker phase, and Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, and all of the kind of Immortal stuff, and it was just, that's where it sort of kick-started. And then I moved over to looking at WWE as well, and I just haven't looked back since, I suppose, just keeping an eye on all of them, just to see, like, sometimes I'm watching AEW clips as well, so it's a mixture of everything.
Hella based. It actually makes so much sense because this is the first time you've ever spoken to me and Corey, so we know nothing about you.
I know it's crazy because obviously I met your guys at Mania weekend. I was on the Stag Do weekend at the time, so I met Robbie, Finn, Adam. I think I met a couple of others as well.
Yeah, you probably met Chris and that.
Chris as well, yeah. So I met all those guys and hit it off because we were sat literally on the table next to them at the Horn in Hand at the watch party. So it was that's how I got into, obviously, well, if that was one of your questions, that's how I got into TGP. Started talking with the guys on my Stag Do weekend, and it's bloomed from there.
So can you remember a lot about that Stag weekend? Because it might come in useful later.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can, yes.
Okay, that's
if
good.
If not, I can always refer back to the TikToks that were filmed, so it's all good.
I hope we don't have to refer to them.
Well, you know what? We were going to do it later, but we'll make to do it now because it makes the most sense. WrestleMania 40, did you enjoy it?
It was an absolute blast from start to finish. There were matches that I was cheering on that I would sort of, I think I got hooked on the atmosphere. Because I got hooked on the atmosphere, there was matches that I wouldn't really normally be into as much, but I was that much into the sort of the atmosphere and the company I had around me that it just made it that much better. I mean, on the Saturday I was struggling because I was actually tired because we'd done a lot that day, but the Sunday was just wham, and everything was all happening at once, and I was experiencing it at the same time everybody else was, instead of, for example, watching it on Challenge a few days later or whatever, like I was in my youth. But yeah, it was just fantastic. Making new friends, watching something, being in a sort of relaxed environment, and being able to just sort of let loose, I suppose.
Yeah, well, you know we do tier lists here, so we've got a special thing for you where you're going to do a tier list right now, very, very quick, all about WrestleMania 40 matches. So, one line max per one. You don't need to explain to us. Just put us the matches where you feel like you enjoyed them. So we'll start with Rhea versus Becky.
Rhea versus Becky, though, that was the starting match. It was okay. I wasn't as sort of into it. Like the intro for Rhea was brilliant, bringing out Motionless in White, and obviously them singing her intro and everything. That was brilliant. I just don't think there was too much. There wasn't enough hype for the actual match for me. Like it was almost as if, oh no, here's Becky Lynch in another title match again, and it was just sort of like, I think, I wasn't sort of. It was too samey for me. So it was just like, how many times is Becky going to get this opportunity?
Yeah, I get it.
She has been in. I know this isn't my opinion, but she's been sort of like, she's been the go-to. She's been sort of overused when they've needed someone to hold the championship. So it's kind of good. It was good for me to see that obviously Rhea took that championship. So we get change at least, which is good.
I 100% agree. Didn't we miss this match, Kyle?
We did.
We missed the match because we got the start time wrong. So we actually started watching it halfway through the ladder match.
To be fair, I think I did. This is one of the matches that some people call matches like a cup of tea match. I prefer to call them a cigarette match. So I think about halfway through, I kind of got I was just like, I think I'll pop outside for 5 minutes, and then they came back, and then obviously it was still going on, and then finally we actually got the Rhea that won it. So it was not a relief, but it was good to see Rhea win, rather than keeping it the same or keep on holding it on Becky.
Yeah. Okay. Just because I have a recording with Adam, we're gonna have to speed this up in terms of. So just when I tell you the match, give me just the tier. S, A, B, C, D, F.
No worries.
So, Rhea versus Becky, you've explained it. I'm feeling like it's probably low for you.
Yeah, it's C. It's sort of mid. It's not the greatest, but it's
fine.
Not the worst.
Yeah. What about the men's ladder match?
Men's ladder match. Who was in that again? Remind me.
It's the tag one, yeah. Where it was like R-Truth and the Miz, DIY.
Oh yes,
Priest.
Yes, the one for the championships. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah,
actually, that was. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in B.
That's respectable. Everyone loves a good ladder match.
Yeah, it was a fun match.
Yeah. What about Rey and Andrade versus Santos and Dirty Dominic?
I think I'd pair that with C. I'd pair that with Rhea and Becky, to be fair. Wasn't too much interested in that.
I forgot that match happened, to be honest.
Yeah, same. Controversial one. What about Jay versus Jimmy?
Jay versus... Oh, my goodness. That could have been so much better than it was.
Yeah.
That could have been so much better than it was. It was just such a disappointment. So I think D for disappointment, I think.
Fair.
Yeah, it could have been brilliant, but it just wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
I can't remember who was in this other than Bianca and Jade. 6-woman tag match.
Bianca, yeah, that was when they won the title, wasn't it?
So, yeah, I cannot remember a single thing about this match.
I think that was another cigarette match, if I'm honest. I'm gonna go ahead and put that probably in D with Jay and Jimmy, because again, it wasn't all that sort of intriguing. We weren't sure which way it was going to go.
Yeah, that's fair. What about Sammy versus Gunther?
What a match this was. Honestly, I stayed there from start to finish because I just did not know which way this match was going to go. But it was absolutely fantastic. All the way up until obviously the following match. That was match of the night. So that's at least going in A.
Respectable. What about the Bloodline versus Seth and Cody?
I think given obviously what I saw on night 2, I felt that the night 1 match could have had a little bit more as well. Because of how much... Obviously, I understand there wasn't as much on the night 1 match because of how packed the night 2 match was. But I still feel it could have had a little bit more, so B for that one.
And then we're on to night 2. We've got 2 Drew matches, but we'll do Drew versus Seth first.
Well, there was a lot of Claymores, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Tell you that.
This was a squash-esque match.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Did not have a good appearance in night 2.
Yeah, Seth had been through a lot night 1, and to come out night 2 and still actually be doing this match, you got to have a lot of respect for Seth. I think he wasn't he actually injured? And
yeah, he genuinely messed up his knee. in the night before.
Yeah. So
you can tell when he
walks
in with the shield. He's like genuinely limp into the ring.
Yeah, madness. But yeah, this was a good match, and it was, again, I'd probably put that in. Actually, I'm going to move Sammy and Gunther to S and put Drew and Seth in A.
I respect it. Yeah, like Drew and Seth may not technically be like the greatest match of all time, but for what it's the purpose it has, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the cash-in? Drew versus Priest.
Now that wasn't obviously a long cash-in.
Yeah, not a long match.
Just sort of done, but. I was grateful to grateful to see the events that took place, and obviously Punk screwing over Drew again. It was Drew's own fault. He shouldn't have antagonized Punk in the end of the day. So I will stick that in B.
Yeah, I think you've got to look over the actual match itself and more the moment and circumstances surrounding it. So I think B is a good place.
For the cash-in, you've got to think about the circumstances rather than the match itself, because the match itself wasn't exactly very long.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's think about the Pride versus the Final Testament. I can't remember this match at all.
I can.
Is it the one where it was Bubba Ray?
Bubba Ray was the special guest referee, and they did the wazza and the 3D, and this match was hype.
Yeah, it was TNA man. You probably loved this.
Oh yes. Well, I knew him as Bully Ray rather than Bubba Ray, but then I think I knew him as Bubba Ray when they came back. I think it was in the New Day.
They had a feud with the New Day when they came back.
Yeah, and then they had a little bit with Enzo and Cass, I think, as well, didn't they?
Yeah, that's where Enzo and Cass
debuted. Rightly. But this match was full of nostalgia, full of fun. This was a fun match. Like it was good to see the sort of old stuff coming back, and obviously Bubba feeling the moment and teaching him how to do the wazza as well. That was brilliant. So I'm going to stick that in A.
Yeah, you've got to have these fun type of matches at a Mania. It doesn't all have to be serious.
Exactly.
Okay, LA Knight versus AJ Styles.
I'm trying to remember this match now.
Yeah, it was a little forgettable, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is again when I had a trip outside. AJ Styles. I think I'm going to stick that in C then, because again, I'm not really sure that I saw the whole of that match.
That's fair. No.
Yeah, I think C is an appropriate ranking for it anyway. It wasn't incredible, but wasn't bad by any means.
Then we got the Logan Paul triple threat.
With Speed coming out. That was brilliant. Yeah. That was funny. I think the highlight of that was Randy screaming in his face and RKOing him through a table.
That was a good moment.
That was brilliant. But again, I'm not too much of a fan of Logan. If I'm honest.
Join the club, brother.
I've never really been a fan of Logan. I mean, I also grew up knowing like YouTubers and stuff like that, so I sort of already had a dislike for him because I was sort of representing the British, and obviously when the boxing stuff came up with KSI and all that kind of stuff. So never really a fan of Logan, but not too bad of a match. But again, not a fan that Logan won, so I'm going to stick that in C.
C or D?
C.
C. Oh, I was going to say, I was like, you're putting Logan in the ground. Bayley versus Io.
This is Bayley's redemption match, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Enjoyed this match, to be fair. So I'm going to stick that in B.
That's fair. I mean, I love Bayley. It was a great moment.
Yeah. I mean, when you've got a wrestler that quite literally owns a song from goodness knows how many years ago, and the crowd are all singing it, and you just know exactly what they're singing throughout the entirety of the match, and you can just sing along and not give a damn. It's just like...
Yeah, it was a wonderful moment. I love Bayley, man. What can I say? And then it's the big one. Cody versus Roman 2.
That's up in S, that one. That matches with Sammy and Gunther.
It is.
If I was going pitting those two against each other, I don't think I'd have there's not much to divide them in terms of how much I like them.
They're both incredible.
They're both incredible matches.
Absolutely incredible. Boom. That's a quick tier list done. Back to some questions.
Notice how I didn't put anyone in F as well.
That's a good Mania, that is.
Yeah, I don't think any matches were F tier from Mania 4.
No, they weren't.
I mean, I'm Jey Uso's possibly biggest fan in the world, and I don't know about that. Okay, next question then. What was your favourite storyline ever in wrestling?
Ooh, interesting. Favourite storyline in wrestling ever? It's got to be again, go back to TNA. It's got to be the whole broken mat and the final deletion and all that kind of stuff where they went brother against brother in TNA, and obviously Willow was brought into it, and they did it at the Hardy compound and all that kind of stuff, and when they built that then into against Decay. And fantastic storyline! Like, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean that one kind of broke the mold, didn't it?
Yeah, I think you can tell a storyline's good because I haven't really watched TNA a ton. I've watched like parts of it, but I'm not like a huge mega fan. But you know, a storyline in TNA is incredible when it quite literally it takes over the entirety of like wrestling internet with how good and big that storyline was.
Oh, it was brilliant. Like, obviously it helped that it was one of my favorite wrestlers was part of that storyline, but it was just fantastic how they just kept building it and adding bits in, and then all of a sudden this happens and you're just like, whoa, like adding new characters in. I mean, even Itchweed made an appearance. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, I think it's got quite a lot of influence on the industry. Like, you can definitely see the inspiration when you look at like The Fiend. Like, you can see the inspiration that he must have took with like Broken Matt Hardy. So it's got some big influence.
And also a little bit of the darkness of Willow as well, I feel.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most influential stories in modern wrestling. It's good because storylines like that, like the spooky storylines, they sometimes can get just a bit lost. But no, Broken Matt Hardy's had such a big impact in wrestling as a whole.
Oh yeah, I think like the way they go off and do vignettes at different places, like at the Hardy compound and inside the house, and the same sort of thing with Delete or Decay when they did that at the Hardy compound as well. Oh, away from the ring, but fantastic matches where anything goes. It was just brilliant, fantastic to watch.
Yeah, it's just a really fun storyline.
Yeah. Last question then, and then we're all good. So last season, I asked Corey.
I forgot this was the question.
I asked Corey a very off-the-cuff question, and we made it into an episode. And it was, you know, the idea of like, what 5 people would you have at like your dinner table?
Oh, is this bit like your what's your the top of your mountain or something like that?
Yeah. Your Corey, come on, you should know this one.
Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore.
That's the one,
Mount
yes.
Rushmore. So, what 5 people would you have dinner with?
Not even necessarily the best. Not even like who's your
not
best.
Necessarily the best.
Who would you want to have dinner with?
Who do you want to have dinner with? Who would you have a fun dinner with? 5 people.
Well, I think I'd be a bit of a hypocrite if I didn't say Hardy'd have to be there. Jeff would have to be there, definitely.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let's have a think. Again, I think I'd like to have. I know this sounds a bit mad, but obviously, following on from my 3 favourite, I'd have to have Sting around that table as well.
That's fair.
Sort of. Obviously,
those 2 I think would get along in a dinner.
Not only that, but then you've also got the conversation about I think is it WCW?
Yeah, you'd have loads of old stories.
So you've got loads of old stories to then go through. I know this sounds a bit weird, but I think I'd have Triple H around that table.
I would probably have if I had to do mine again, I'd have Triple H.
Yeah. I'd have Triple H around that table because some of the stuff he's come up with and some of the stuff he's leading WWE into at the moment is blooming fantastic. Like, it's changed that much, but it's changed that much for the better. Like, it's so much more enjoyable. So I'd just love to know what his mindset is like and how he comes up with this sort of thing and how he makes that sort of work. So it's just, yeah, he'd definitely have a seat.
Yeah, I think Triple H is maybe the best option you can think of. He's got so many stories. He's got such an interesting outlook on wrestling. What an icon.
I know you're gonna think this is a bit of a weird picking, but I'd have LA Knight at that table. Because I don't just know him as LA Knight. I know him as Eli Drake.
Yeah, the TNA effect. Yeah,
exactly.
That makes sense.
And I think when he was Eli Drake, he was a bit more of he was the R-Truth of TNA. Like, he was always coming up with the comedy side of it, especially with the Fact of Life and the dummy button and everything like that. It just gave you a little bit of a laugh, and I think we could all do with a laugh at some point in our lives. And I think around that table, Jeff and LA would be the funny ones, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, just last episode, Corey, I was saying to you that R-Truth genuinely is one of my favourite wrestlers of all time, just because how funny he is. Yeah. Sometimes you just need a funny guy in wrestling.
One more.
One more.
He's not the GOAT, but in my sort of era, my sort of age, he's my GOAT, so I'd have to have Cena there.
That's fair. And you know what? Cena's got a different outlook from the rest as well. Because he is Hollywood now.
He's Hollywood. He's done so much for Make-A-Wish. He's done so much stuff, and with interviews, appearances, all that kind of stuff. And it's always. I know it sounds mad. Some people hate him, some people like him, but it's always still nice to see him when he returns. He just pops up here and there, and you're just like, it's good to see him back and whatnot. I still think he should have. I still personally think he should be the one to overtake Flair's championship record, but that's just me.
I agree, actually. I quite love John Cena now. I don't know, Corey, what's your opinion? I guess you didn't grow up with John Cena.
Yeah, I'm somehow young enough where I didn't even grow up really with Cena. But no, I love Cena. I think for me, I would probably say he's the GOAT of wrestling, just because he's done so much and was so big for his era of wrestling. There was no debate on who the star of wrestling was at that point. It was obviously Cena. So yeah, I love Cena.
Huh? I think that's a good table, to be honest. All good lads. Is there anything you want to end on, Kenny? As the first person in this scuffed edition of Breakfast with?
I suppose the first sort of edition is thank you guys for having me on here. I mean, it's great to sort of be introduced in this way, and I hope we have many more podcasts together and continue to make GGP great.
Wow. Other than the MAGA, that was wholesome as hell. That was wholesome as hell. You know.
I didn't say the word again. I didn't say the word again. Don't you turn this around, make me sound like I'm Donald Trump or whatever. No, thank you.
I thought Adam would be the one that would get us all cancelled, but no, it was somehow the wholesome one.
No, we keep going at it, keep believing, keep improving, keep positive. TGP will be massive. I'm telling you now.
Well, honestly, thank you for coming on. I can't think of a better first person to have on, to be honest. It's the first time we've spoken. Damn, what a guy. Kenny, you're a legend. Corey, you want to end on anything? You introduce, you can end as well.
I don't know what to end on. You do the ending. I've never ended before.
I have to force.
You want me to do the ending?
Yeah, you know what, Kenny.
Yeah, you can do the ending, Kenny.
Right, guys, thanks for listening to the Monday Scramble. This has been myself, Kenny, with Corey and Kyle, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you soon.